Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do a quick pets build overview for new players, people who are coming into the game fresh, or maybe have never played a pet build before and want to see what pets I've got to offer. Pets are very good in Grim Dawn, incredibly viable. You can get very strong pet builds that can defeat, well, all the content. I've seen other people's pet builds that are crazy strong. I've done some decent ones myself. And what I want to show you is not the extremely weird end game gear dependent pet builds that can, you know, crush end game content and celestial bosses. What I want to show you is the pet classes, so that's the masteries that have actually got pets or pet related stuff in them, and then I'll touch on how other classes that don't have pets can support those builds. If you want to do a build with just one pet class and a non-pet mastery supporting it. But to start with, what we'll look at, I've ranked these. Other people will have different opinions. I think for a new player who wants to dabble with pets and get the most fun straight away out of a pet build, I would say the order, in my opinion, obviously the order number 1, Necromancer. The reason for this I'll come to in a bit. I'll show you the skills and just got to break it down a bit, explain what pet skills they've got and how they work and why they're so good. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be Occultist. He's got fewer overall pets on the screen running around than the Necro, but he's also got some really good pet support skills. Third, and this is, yeah, like I said, other people will have opinions on this, it's very subjective. Third pet class which has actually got a pet is Shaman. Now obviously if you do a build with mixing up any 2 of those masteries, you can get a really strong pet build. You could take one of those masteries and use a non-pet mastery. Soldier has got a few good supporting skills for pets. Demolitionist, you can do a very strange fire pet build using demolitionist skills, incredibly strong. Nightblade, I'd say probably one of the least useful masteries, only if you wanted to challenge yourself. Do a pet build with a Nightblade. Arcanist, sort of similar to Demolitionist, maybe not quite so good, maybe better, depends on, I don't know, gear, how you feel. But to start with, you probably want to avoid involving an Arcanist in your pet build. Inquisitor, similarly, there's no specific pet supporting stuff in there. Oathkeeper, although it's got the Guardians running around, they're not pets, they scale with player damage bonuses. So right, let's get into this and have a look at the 3 actual pet masteries in a little bit more detail. First up, let's have a look at the Necro and see what pet skills that has got. You'll notice, let's just put a few points in here. Raised skeletons. First thing you want to do, if you're going to do a pet build, I'd say pick a Necro and use raised skeletons. Get that maxed up. Undead Legion. If you notice, Undead Legion has a +1 summon limit. The more points you put in here, the more that goes up. So that says summons 3, 5 summon limit. So you put more points into that, when that goes up to 3, that now says summons 3, 6 summon limit. What that means is you'll summon 3 at a time. So if you've got raised skeletons there, you summon 3, and there's a 6 summon limit. You would wait for that to cool down. Later on there'll be gear and whatever that will speed that up, so the cooldown becomes a lot less of a burden. So there you go. So there's 6 skeletons running around now. So that makes your basic skeleton stronger. Once you've got that maxed up, the skeletons you summon look different.
Can't do that yet.
See, they look like roguey archery kind of dudes now. You'll also get fire mages and you'll get death knight looking things. There you go, look. See that big boy there with the shield and the sword and all that red glowing stuff? And you got like a weak little skeleton bloke there. There's a mage, fire mage. You can see he's got his staff, and there's archers. So we take them up here and you can see the sort of thing that they do. See that fireball, that was the mage summoned that. You can hear the archers shooting away. There you go. So that's your basic group of skeletons, and you can get a lot more running around. I think I've had 14 was the most I managed to get. That just makes them stronger. Every time you upgrade them, they all disappear, so you have to re-summon them. So that's the skeletons. That's the core of your Necro pet build. Then you've got this boy here, Blight Fiend. He's your tank. He's got skills that will generate additional threat so that things attack him instead of you. Both of those nodes will generate additional threat. That just makes him stronger. There he is. Wait for that to go away. Right, so what you've got up here, the skeletons, they appear down here above your health bar with a little number. It's a shame it's not bigger, it's a shame it's not up here with the other pets, but that's just Grim Dawn for you. There's your Blight Fiend. You can right click on that, you can set him to aggressive, normal, defensive. Normal, he just kind of does his thing. Defensive, he'll hang around near you and I think attack stuff that attacks you. Aggressive, he'll just go crazy and just fight everyone. That's aggressive's a good setting to put him on. You can't set the skeletons to any particular disposition. They just do their own thing, generally attack anything that's close by. You've got a pet attack. You can point and click and send them around. So if you've got a dodgy boss, or you don't want to get into the fight too much yourself, which is always a good idea, you can send them into an area. There you go. So you can send them into that house to have a look around, kill whatever's in there. And you can call them back to where you are. If you max that out, you've got a 8 summon limit, and then to get it above that you need gear. That just makes them stronger. So that's what that looks like when that's maxed out. Now, there are other skills. You've got Call of the Grave, bonus to pets. That buffs their damage and their crit damage. You've got Master of Death, which is a toggle skill. And that does lots of bonuses to pets. Damage bonuses, damage conversion, offensive ability, and vitality resistance, so that ups their resistance. The rest of the stuff on there, that last node on Bone Harvest, that has a bonus to pets. So if you use that and it hits a bunch of enemies, while it's affecting the enemies, the pets get a bonus to their damage. So that's pretty good. a lot of the other stuff that debuffs enemies is useful for the pet build. See that's a temporary pet, lives for 18 seconds but scales with pet bonuses, so that's also technically a pet. Now what I've done a pet build on a pure Necromancer, so that's a Necromancer that you never pick another class, because there's a lot of things here you can put points into. You could use up, I mean, that as well, and that, and that, and that. You can use up a lot of points just on Necro and not, you know, not worry too much about selecting another class. So you've got a lot to play around with in there. As for devotions, I mean, what you're looking at here is if you put pets up the top there, you can see there's a lot of devotions, a lot of constellations that have stuff that buff pets. And what you have to do is you have to look at that and try and figure out what you want to do. Some of it is just passive stuff. Some of it is you need to attach it to one of your skills. So when you use a skill, for example, you get that and put that on Bone Harvest. So when you fire off Bone Harvest, as well as the buff from that Bone Harvest node, you'll get that devotion thing going off as well, buffing your pets. That's like an 85% chance on attack, so yeah, that's pretty much going to happen most of the time. Almost all the time you cast Bone Harvest, that will go off as well. So that's just passive buffs to your pets. There's defensive stuff for pets. Chaos resistance, ether resistance, pierce resistance. So yeah, you can just go around on here. Oh, that's quite a nice one. Actually, Flame, I'll show you this. If you put that, you can actually attach some of the attack skills you can attach to pets. So you could put that on the skeletons. So whenever they attack, they'll set on fire. And you've got like 8 or 9 or 10 or 11 or whatever skeletons running around on fire. That's hilarious. What else can we do? This thing. Poison. Blight Fiend's kind of a poison dude, so you can stick that on him. So then when you go into action, you'll see, watch what happens to the skeletons when they start fighting, if anything lives long enough. Yeah, see that Blight Fiend propped that poison blast thing then. That was from the devotion. Skeletons are setting on fire now with that fiend devotion. There's lots of scope for customization and messing about and creating all sorts of weird combinations of pet damage on the devotion screen. Next up, number 2 on my preferred list of pet classes, Occultist. Now while this doesn't have the same kind of death by superior numbers of pets of the Necro, he's got a few. I mean, for this I'll just whack it right to the end. Right, let's go. First pet you're going to get, well, assuming you do it as you're leveling up, Summon Familiar, which is like this weird bird that flies around. It can heal you. Not the most mega useful skill in the history of skills, but it's okay. Storm Spirit. Now this is This is deceptively uninspiring, because you look at it and you think whatever, but what it says there is the Raven projects its eldritch spirit into selected allies, empowering them beyond their mortal means. Now, beyond the lore and the waffle, what that means is if you or any of your other pets are within a 20-meter radius, and that's like that's like the whole screen pretty much of that Raven, they'll start dealing elemental damage and have a buff to their elemental damage. So say you've got a bunch of skeletons that are skeleton mages that are chucking fireballs around, that fire damage they're dealing will be buffed because they're near this thing, this Raven. So, and you can pump that up to the point where it's doing its soft cap 100% elemental damage plus 100%, so it's like double damage, and you can get gear that buffs it higher than that. And that thing on the end is a lightning strike. It's its own like funny little attack that it does. So that's, you know, if you just had that pet and you put all your points into pet stuff and you just had him, you'd probably be thinking it was weak and what's the point. But it's kind of a support pet rather than a main attack pet. If you want a main attack pet, Hellhound, he does a bunch of stuff, but you know he does fire damage, so his elemental damage will be buffed by that Raven. Emberclaw is like a secondary attack thing he does, but then he's got this. Now, this power extends to nearby allies, so that's awesome as well. An aura of Hellfire surrounds the Hellhound, augmenting it with power from its natural realm. So that gives it a buff to its attack damage. It gives it fire damage and chaos damage plus 10%, so you can max that at any other pet that's near it within a 15-meter radius, which again is quite a long way away. As long as they're all running around in a group, they're all going to get buffed by that dog, which is cool. And that's another attack that it does. That's your Occultist's 2 pets, but what it's also got, it's got Bloodedreeg, which is just an amazing skill. If you're playing any kind of Occultist, well, I can't think of a reason why you wouldn't want to use this. For one, that's a damage buff and a health regen buff and whatever. This thing over here, this node, max that out as soon as you can. And what you will see on that, 100% poison and acid resistance. Just having that active gives you and anyone near you a 100% poison and acid resistance. So like in normal, you're sorted, and then through elite and ultimate, that gives you a massive advantage because you don't have to worry too much about, you know, having a gap with poison and acid resistance. So although that doesn't say anything about pets, it says this effect is applied to nearby allies. It's got a 20-meter radius. Again, that's, you know, as long as you're fairly close to your pets, they're going to get buffed with that, so you don't have to worry about their poison and acid resistance. This is a specific pet buff thing, as is that node there. So that's all your specific Occultist pet stuff. So what we'll do is get all this sorted out. There's summon familiar, summon Hellhound, Bloodedreeg, Bronze Abysmal. There's the Raven and there's the Hellhound. Bloodedreeg's the thing, you put it on, it lasts for 30 seconds. You can get gear that makes it last longer, and that Abysmal buff does its thing. So we'll see how good they are. Again, with these things, you can set them. I'd set the bird to defensive maybe, and set the dog to aggressive. Look at him go! Look. Once again, let's get that so you can call him back if he's going too crazy. Look at that fly. Get in there, dog. Again, you can do the same sort of thing with devotions. So you could put that on him, and where's an electric one? We want something that's easy to get to. What do I need there? 5 purple, 5 blue. Critical attack. You might do critical attacks. Let's sort this out. Let's get some purples done. Is that 5? Yeah, 5 blue. Right, so we can get that. Stick that on that. Right, let's see what happens now. See if they start proccing those things. Actually, he needs to attack. There you go. Come over here. Let's go and fight that boss again. Go and attack that lot. Yeah, look at that. You could see that lightning going off, that big lightning storm. That was the devotion one there, look. Dog got a bit carried away and died. Yeah, they're not, I mean, you need gear and a bit more devotion stuff to support them. Right, let's go have a look at the Shaman. And then we'll, after I've had a look at the Shaman on his own, we'll do a bit of a mishmash. I'll do a couple of double masteries just to show you what a whole load of them look like running around. Struggling in 3rd place. Remember, my own subjective opinion. Yours may differ. You may love the Shaman as a pet build, pet mastery. Right, let's go in, grab a Shaman, stick some points in. What you'll notice here, he's got a bunch of stuff. He's only got 1 pet, which is this Briarthorn. It's the main pet, Summon Briarthorn. This is very similar in what it does, what its purpose is, to the Necro's Blightfiend. That generates additional threat, and that's just some crazy attack. So what he looks like is this. What you'll notice is when you're running around in Pine Barrens area, you'll get attacked by things that look like that, like human trees or whatever. So that's your pet. Now, he's also got this Conjure Primal Spirit. This is similar to that wraithy thing that the Necro's got, because it lives for 20 seconds. So although it scales with pet bonuses, it's not there all the time. And this looks like this is funny. I do like this. Look at that thing. So that's another thing. That's like a manticore looking thing. Other things that buff pets on here. You've got that Primal Bond. Notice it's got bonuses to pets. That's a toggle skill. So that's a bit like Necro's Master of Death. But if you've got a Necro as the other mastery, where it says exclusive skill, only 1 exclusive skill can be active. That doesn't mean on that mastery, it means on your whole build. So if you had this with a Necro, you'd probably maybe want to go with that Master of Death thing, because that's very specific. It's the bleeding damage that it does, whereas this guy does bleeding damage, so it makes sense to have it with him if this is the only pet mastery you've got. Mogdragon's Pact will buff pets. Disability must be toggled, and it bestows whatever on your allies. So all this other stuff as well, they get all that. They get the whole thing. But yeah, but apart from that, there's nothing else. There's nothing else on there. Well, that, once placed, the totem will drain the life from nearby foes, all the while creating a soothing aura that heals allies. So yeah, so that'll buff the pets if they're near it. That thing. But again, you've got a limited. It's not as pet focused as the Occultist or the Necro. It's just got bits and pieces that you can use, like that you can use, but it's you know, if the pets are running around all over the place, if you've got that Wendigo thing, that's just stuck in the ground. So if you run off to fight somewhere else, it's not. I mean, you've got to be right on top of it really for it to be doing anything for you. So if your pets are fighting a boss, yeah, great. Stick the thing under the boss's feet, assuming it's a boss that stays in one place, and they'll all pound away at it, and that thing will be there like that, doing its thing in the fight. But again, it depends how lazy you want to be. Necro's probably the laziest basic pet build, and this is more like you'd want this. I think you'd want this in conjunction with Necro or Occultist. You wouldn't want to do Shaman and some non-pet mastery as a pet build. It would just be very strange because you'd only really have that and anything you got from gear or a relic. I mean, that thing, limited usefulness, you have to keep casting it. So yeah, it's good. I mean, Mogdragon's Pact is a great buff skill. That's one of the best on any mastery. It's really good. So yeah, there's plenty of scope for messing around using Shaman with the other pet classes. Using Shaman as your only pet mastery with some other thing like Soldier, or I mean, yeah, you'd be struggling. I think. I'm talking about for a new player. If you wanted to do a pet build, just going with Shaman and something else that wasn't another pet mastery would be a bit of a lot to ask for someone who was starting the game with, you know, no gear in stash and new to the game. Right, let's look at what happens when you mush two of these things together. I think if I had to pick, you know, a pet build for a new starter, the one I'd say to go for is a Cabalist. Okay, so you pick your Necro, you pick your Occultist. Right, so you got your Necromancer as your first skill, Occultist is second. What I'd say to do first of all, you come in, choose Necro as your first mastery and start putting points into raised skeletons, and as you level up, I'd put 2 points in the mastery, 1 point in raised skeletons, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, Undead Legion, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points, 1 point, 2 points. Yeah. So eventually you got, they're strong, you've got +2 summon limit, and you've got some resistances and stuff going on. Grab that, then maybe go to Occultist, get all the way up to Blood of Dreeg, grab your familiar, grab your dog, some points in there, point in there, point in there, point in there. You might want to max the skeleton stuff out earlier, but once you've got to that state, you're probably doing well. So you've got a few points left to do what you want with. You've got things like Ill Omen's good. That's decent. But mostly you've got plenty of points to get all your pets going on there. So what you've ended up with, you've got a familiar, you've got a howlhound, you've got raised skeletons, you've got summon blight fiend. You end up with a little army and then with gear and with relics and some devotion stuff. How many can we summon at the moment? It's 8, isn't it? So I've got 6. Just to show you what it looks like when you've got your army of crazy things running around. Right, so I've got a hellhound, I've got... Okay, so there's the bird. He can be normal, he can be aggressive, he can be aggressive. The skeletons will do their thing. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff. Generally, you can just run through and they'll just kill whatever's there. This is without any devotions or any gear buffing them. It's not a particularly good example because once you've got pet gear and devotions on, they become a heck of a lot stronger. I mean, they're not exactly weak now. What you can do, you can go to shops like this vendor here. You can put pets in the search bar, and then you'll see, you'll get used to recognizing what the suffixes and prefixes, like dominators. Dominator means there's some pet stuff on it. Subjugator is like not as good as Dominator. That's the like the magic version is Subjugator. The rare version is Dominator. There's another Subjugator thing. But look at that. Bonus to all pets, plus 99% to all damage. But it's got a required spirit of 724, which you might be struggling to get.
See you around.
If you go and have a look at the Rovers camp, have a look at their shopkeeper guy, their faction shopkeeper guy. They do quite a lot of pet stuff as a pet thing. Pet armor, pet shoulder guards, pet amulet, conjurer's powder. So you stick that on rings and amulets, that'll give pets a damage bonus. Same sort of thing there, only it's better. Upgraded versions of those and that.
Put it to good use.
What you've got to be aware of though is when you're collecting gear, allocating points in devotions, contrary to the way you generally be doing a build, you kind of ignore your own damage. You don't worry about the damage you're doing because you don't want to be getting into fights and attacking things. Okay, there are some pet builds where you will, and you might have an attack skill that triggers a pet bonus, but the actual damage it does, you won't be too worried about it. So that's your Cabalist, that's your Necro and your Occultist. That's probably the most popular, basic, kind of straightforward pet build. Both masteries have got a lot of pet stuff, a lot of pet buffing abilities like Bonds of Bismail, Master of Death, Call of the Grave, forgot that. So yeah, you can see what I mean about the points. If you try and max out everything, you're going to run out of points across the two. So you kind of, some of it you might have to make a decision, well, alright, I won't use that skill, or I'll take that node out, I don't need it, or I won't use that, or I won't use Raven at all. There's a, you can't just slap points in and max everything out. If you want to max him out, his entire chain there, you're going to have to cut some corners somewhere else. I'll just show you pure Necro pet build. You see it's just a Necro, there's nothing else. And by doing that, it gave me the ability to max out most of the stuff on there that I'm using. Even the bone harvest skill, that's like it's only really there to trigger that. I've managed to max out the primary node and that thing. Right. See, the cooldown on skeletons is a bit quicker on this. I'm not sure whether, I can't remember how many skeletons I've got on here. I think it's 14, or is it 12? No, it's the Death Knight one that's got 14. So that's, yeah. Let's just run them out here and I'll go through what I've got going on. So that's a monster infrequent that drops from Warden Krieg. That's just a really good drop. It's like a triple rare to quite a bit of farming to get that. If you look at the bonuses to the pets on that, it's pretty crazy. That shield, I've had that drop quite a few times. Again, it's got some good pet bonuses on it. That's part of a set, but I've only got the one item. Gold's mantle, I've got 2 bits of that. I've got the shoulders and the gloves. Boots, kind of a random drop, but it was decent. Wendigo Gaze, you can go and farm that around Gloomwald and Oaktonbog. Again, that's got a +1 summon limit to raise skeletons. That +1 summon is not the same as +1 summon limit. That means you can summon more at a time, whereas the summon limit means you actually can summon more overall. I've just got that for the +1 to all skills in Necro really, but again it's a triple rare, it's a really nice drop. Dirge of Arcovia, that lets you summon that big, where is he, that big green thing there. Trousers, that's from a Bismail boss in the Hidden Path quest, always drops with pet bonuses on it, so you can go and farm that. And that's just, and again, it's not part of a set, it's just a random drop that I'm using. Dreeg Venom Seal, that's a faction item, so you can guarantee you can go and get yourself one of them. Just buy it from the Dreeg faction in the Conclave of the Three. Mythical Heart of the Mountain. Did I even summon that Chillmane? Oh yeah, there he is. So that Chillmane thing there, that furry Yeti thing, that comes from that item there. And that, I need to change that. See, really, it's a poor choice of item for this build, but I think I originally got it for the ether resistance, but I think my ether resistance is it's kind of fine. I just need to get something better than that. But yeah, that's an earlier one, that's a level 28 one. So you can farm Krieg and get that. That'll give you a +1 summon limit straight away to raise skeletons. That thing, that lets you summon something else. But I found overall that thing with the +1 to all skills in Necro was more useful than that. That will give you another pet though. I mean, you put that on, of course everything dies. That'll give you, where is he? Oh, okay. That. So that book, that offhand book lets you summon that. It's like another skeleton. I can hardly see him in amongst them. Is that little knight on the side there. There's a load of items that grant pet skills. You got that from Salazar. That's a random drop, as is that. You get all these different relics. So what you can do is get a bunch of pets without using any pet skills. There they all go, running around. That thing's off the relic, that's off the amulet. He's off the book, and he's off the sword. Thing is, he's got a time limit, but the others are permanent. So you can ditch that. Look at some of the other ones. Yeah, they're quite funny. So he's off the Dirge of Arcovia relic. He's off, what is he off? Yeah, Blight Shard Amulet. So it's quite low level. But I mean, you could have a pet build with no actual pet skills, or you could get a pet build with all these things as well. That was that one. So he's quite cool because he's running around on fire. See, there's no, I mean, I've just got points in that just for the spirit. You need quite a bit of spirit to equip some of these things. You need 400 to equip that. That's a low level one. 326 spirit for that. So yeah, mostly these items, the relics, you don't need anything. You just need to be the right level. I think that'll do. I might do a follow-up one. I might do a walkthrough of, I don't know, the first 20 levels of a pet build or something. But for now, thanks for watching. Hope that was entertaining. And I'll see you all in the next video.